Hello, Sportsman. Hey, I know that we've gone ice fishing under adverse conditions this winter on a number of our practical sportsman trips, but look at this. The sun is going down in the west. What an ideal day. The moon is setting over the shanties. Only one thing about this day, despite how beautiful it was, started off at 7 below zero. It is terribly cold, but we're going to catch fish. Stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. You're watching The Practical Sportsman.
You got one too?
I've got a fish also. That feels like a nice big bluegill.
Friday, February 2nd. Oh, it was a cold day, a very cold day. But Fridays are the day that we ice fish. Now, we picked the day, not the weather. Jim Romine had invited us to this lake. It's a private lake, and at 7 below, we had it all to ourselves. We drilled a few holes to set tip-ups, but most of our fishing would be in portable shanties so we could keep warm.
That's fairly deep. Hey, this is easy. Where do you want another one, Jim?
The air was so cold that the 32-degree water steamed when it hit the ice. Pretty fine hole, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If we can find a pike big enough to fill it up. Where did my hooks go? Use a quick strike rig and one through the lips, one back under the caudal fins.
Huh. Well, that looks like the most efficient rig.
And it works. If our bait didn't freeze, there we go. He's right side up.
Yep. He's a big, lively minnow. I mean, he's going to be yanking this flag, isn't he?
Well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. There's some tricks you can use to stop that from happening.
How Jim Romine could stand taking his gloves off for more than 30 seconds in weather like this was beyond me, but he's a classic fishing fanatic, summer and winter. He usually sits out on open ice if it's warm and not windy, but with a wind chill of 25 below, we watch the tip-ups from inside the shanties.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Didn't even get it in set.
Didn't get the flag set and it's going. But we better yank this quick, shouldn't
We better do it right now.
Because we don't have a
Small
wire leader
fish.
on this.
Small fish.
Could it be a walleye or is it probably pike?
Probably a little bass.
Oh, I'll be darned. No kidding.
Yep.
Little treble hook right in the lip. Well, look at that. Isn't that something?
All red lipped like they get in the wintertime for some unknown reason to me.
Well, you probably don't want to hold that cold fish anymore than you have to.
We want to get him in the water and not do any injury to him. Well, we'll get this set
Okay.
again.
Now, how big of a minnow were we using?
That was about 3-inch shiner. There's a whole bunch of them there.
So actually what we're looking for in here is walleye. Huh?
Yes.
That's the goal. But we figure we'll pick up pike because there's a lot of them here and obviously a lot of bass. So we're using a tip-up that is a Bernie Hines Higgins Lake trout tip-up.
That I
Light line.
can't figure out how to set.
Oh, well you don't have to set it the way they're hitting.
We'll have Fred take care of that.
Now how big of a...
Well, we want
Minnow
about
do you want?
3-inch shiner. That
You
nice
talking that
lively
one there?
Yep. The liveliest one in the bucket is the one we want. Hook them right through the lower jaw, up into the mouth, and into the water real quick, so they don't turn to ice on us.
You fish a lot, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that has affected you as being a cold-blooded organism yourself?
Yeah, I
How
think
can you stand it without your mittens on?
I'm acclimated to the outdoor climate. I work outside 300 and some
that's
days
right.
a year. And,
Landscaping guy.
yes, and fishing and hunting a lot, and it just, but it is cold. Don't. It's dangerously cold today. Don't let me fool you. So if Fred will set that.
Under the ice, the water temperature was in the 30s, so the fish were not affected by the wind chill. Oh, she's turning.
Is it turning?
Yes, sir. Charlie Keenan exhibits sub-zero ice fishing mannerisms. Fingers wadded up in his mittens. He checks a tip-up with his foot. You know what I've gone to that seems pretty good in conditions like this, Charlie Mon? Is this muff. Well,
That may help. I tell you what, my fingers are cold right now, and this thing is frozen in.
What do you have, socks in your hand? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Well, let's go get something to chip that
Uh-oh.
open.
That is frozen in solid.
Charlie, would you carry my gloves too, please?
Holy cow. We got a problem here.
Well, we've got something to chip it open if my hands don't freeze up first. It says a chisel on the end of this. Get this
Get that
off.
off?
Oh, there it is right there, yeah.
Okay. Pretty handy. Oh, it isn't all that thick, but it's very solid.
Oh, man. That's the smallest spot I've ever used.
Chip it out there. Tip on it. There we go, Freddie.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You see that run? It just made 2 runs. Okay, hand out of the muff.
There's a lot of line off there.
It's stripped off a lot of line.
I'd say take it.
There's something on here, but this is a strange feeling. It feels like it's like a snowmobile suit or something. A big blanket. It's not fighting like I would.
Well, she's still.
He's right under the ice.
Yeah, it's still running straight out. There it is. There we go.
Oh,
Oh, all
hey,
right.
hey, I think that.
Oh,
Oh,
just in time.
spit out the chub.
He was right underneath the ice.
Yes, he was. Now, I wonder if he's 24 inches. Hands back into the. That's pretty decent.
Here's, let's see. Just got a. That's 16 right there.
That's 16. The measurement on that.
16 inches.
16 to where?
Right from right there. That's 16.
That's. It'll be about 20. No, that's
he's
a little short.
right. He's not legal. You got to put him back.
Not legal. Oh boy!
Back where it freezes
Oh
into
boy!
the ice.
Cold fish! Ah! There he goes. Washing my fingers in 30-degree water wasn't bad. It was drying them in 25 below air that was bad. The day ended as cold as it started. In fact, it was a little colder. We kind of wished that sun wasn't a million miles away. Nothing moving.
Looks like it's tilted off. Ah, there's resistance. Lots of resistance.
I don't know. You think?
Yeah, not to.
Yes. You want to grab?
running.
Whoa! Well, he's taking a run. This
Set that down.
This actually calls for taking the mittens off. I hate to say. I thought it was
And,
going to be a cake deal.
Keep that line going out this way, and that way if he wants to run, you can just feed it right back to him.
Oh, it's a pike.
Oh,
I
no
think.
small one, no gaff.
Here we come. Oh, there we go. Man, that's the second fish in this hole. This is a hot hole. We're liking this.
Oh, and he ate a little too much. We're
Yes,
gonna
he
have to
did.
Leave him with that. And his body will dissolve that in a matter of days.
Yeah, now we got to tie in another hook.
Yep.
You
Do
got
we
one
have
handy?
one? No, I do not. But
Well,
actually,
get one.
I think I put. Do you have any troubles?
I don't have any. You got any trouble hooks?
I got some.
Any of you folks out there have a treble hook you can cough up here quick? This was not the kind of evening we enjoyed fumbling around looking for equipment. Matt Radzalowski did all the camera work on this frigid day, and he did an admirable job, especially considering the conditions. But he was happy when that sun went down and the tip-up fishing tapered off so we could move our operations inside. How's it look, Matt?
Looks good. Looks warm.
It does? Well, I hope this turns out. It is nice and warm in here. This is Caroline, folks. Right there, Caroline.
Hi.
Who brought 2 Ziploc bags full of cooked fish. Still warm.
Smelt and bluegill.
Ooh. Bluegill is, you can't beat bluegill.
Wine well, forget that.
Oh,
She didn't want to say that.
from this lake.
Yeah, from this lake here.
Aren't you going to have some more?
Yes, sir. I'll have another piece.
I get to be the holder of the bags. Hey, I know it looks crazy to sit in an ice shanty after dark in sub-zero weather, but believe it or not, the couple hours we spent after sunset was the most fun time of the day. It was like being back at camp, around the campfire, telling stories. It was fun. In fact, there's a story behind Jim's homemade ice fishing rods. He makes the handles from the femurs of white-tailed deer. These lightweight limber rods have caught some pretty big fish.
little is little, Jim.
Oh, about 18 inches, not even 18 inches.
Yeah, but considering the rod and reel.
And the 2 pound.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, you know, we should have known by the way he hit that.
He was going to town
He
with it,
just doubled
wasn't
your
he?
line right over. Well, this is interesting.
A pike at night, a nocturnal pike.
Now what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna try to get him back in the hole again. There we go. Oh. Come on. If it was,
Where's the hook?
the hook should be right in the corner of his mouth over here. Yep. If it was legal, this guy would be on a tip up very soon.
Release him slowly into the water for me, Jim.
What do you mean be on a tip up his bait?
Oh, buddy. Good bait. Good bait.
Does he got any swim on him at all?
Just a little bit, Fred. Just a little bit. I'll be smelling this guy for days to come.
Well, that was exciting.
I wish it wouldn't have been there. That's why we're not getting any fish. There's been pike down there. That's really exceptional to catch pike after dark.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we expected to catch crappie after dark. I mean, they're typically nighttime feeders. But true to form, a school moved in. Yay! Yes!
Looks like a crappie.
Yes. Why don't you hold? Ooh!
Looks like a large crappie.
Ooh! Oh, I love this. Ooh! I gotta take my hat off. Yes! Yes! Slide it up.
All right, Fred. Nice fish.
Okay.
Nice fish.
Oh, this is
You have
great.
to hold that up for me, Fred?
Yes, I will.
Oh,
yes,
man.
I will. Look at that.
There's one.
You got one too?
I've got a fish also. That feels like a nice big bluegill.
I don't know. Crappie are coming through.
And it is a small
Yes,
crappie.
It's a crappie. All right. Now this is what we got here this morning at daylight for, and it's only taken all day. This is great. Well, the moral of the story is you can spend the day on the water, but you can't make them bite. That's why fishing takes all day. You have to wait till the fish are in the mood. And that's why we dress funny and sit out in shanties. We're waiting for dinner time for the fish. And for some unexplainable reason, we find this fun. But it was a great day. And it's still very cold and getting colder.
Worst, most adverse conditions of the year, and we had to fish through it.
By golly, we done did it.
Yes, sir, we did.
Yeah,
we
we
didn't
did.
get skunked.
High five for this one.
Great,
Okay.
Fred. Thanks.
Okay, now we're going to pack up and chatter our way home.
All the way back up to the road.
Oh, ice fishing's a cold job, but hey, somebody's got to do it. Speaking of catching panfish, the DNR Fishing Guide says that no person shall in any one day catch, kill, or have in possession at any one time more than the daily possession limit. Now, after reading this, a concerned fisherman from Big Rapids wrote a question for Sal. He said, the possession on sunfish reads 25 in any combination. Now, does this mean that I can only have in my home one daily limit of bluegills? I'm retired, and I like to fish 2 or 3 times a week. If I catch my daily limit of 25 bluegills on the first day, does the law say I can't keep any fish I catch the next 2 days until I've eaten or disposed of the ones I caught on the first day? This poor retired guy, Sal, didn't even want to put his name on the letter because he's concerned if he fesses up and publicly says, I have several days or weeks worth of limits in my freezer, I'm going to get a ticket. Will he?
The practical answer, Fred, is no, he's not going to get a ticket. Unfortunately, if you read the letter of the law strictly, he possibly could get a ticket. You don't like those words possibly could, but the fact is the law is not clear. The law says that a person cannot possess more than 25 fish in a single day.
So he's asking whether if it's at home in his freezer, is that possession, or is it somehow exempted? Once you have it home, your wife is eating it, your friends come over, you give some fillets away.
Well, Fred, I spoke with the DNR officer only today on this point, and he indicated there is no law that covers this point. They're not going to write you a ticket if you have 30 or 40 fish in your home. It is technically in your possession if you follow the law it is in possession. But they're not going to interpret this law to be that you can't possess more than 25 fish in your home.
Will you, Attorney Sal Gani, guarantee all these retired people and everybody out there fishing that they will not get a ticket if they have 100 or 200 bluegills in their freezer?
I can guarantee that if they have that amount in the freezer, I'd fight as hard as I could to make sure they didn't get a ticket.
Yeah,
the problem is,
but-
the DNR officer told me, he said, in the event that there's a circumstance and they were searching a person's home and they had nothing else to charge this person with, they could technically write a ticket under the statute. Would they? He said the answer is virtually be impossible, but he said they could write a ticket under this. The fact is they don't enforce this law that way. What they do is they enforce it in transportation. You're not allowed to transport more than 25 fish or the legal limit per day. And transporting is from the place of fishing to your place of home or something.
See, but in the fishing guide, it doesn't say transport. It says have in possession. You know, we're building guilt trips onto people out here who feel that they're in violation of the law. What if he had more deer in his freezer or more rabbits than the possession limit? They'd come after him.
You sure they would?
Because the game laws they enforce differently.
They do.
This is a confusing area of the law. If you have any questions or experiences with fish and game law you'd like to discuss with a practical attorney, you can call Sal at the Practical Sportsman Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. That's when he gives free consultation to the general public on questions of law. 10:21, that's getting pretty late in the morning. A lot of bow hunters leave about 9:30 or so.
Well, I don't get out in the woods until a little bit after 9. I have to wait till all my kids get on the bus. Then I go out to the woods.
After 9, that's most hunters hang it up by then, most bow hunters.
I can't help it. I gotta get all the kids on the bus, you know. And
So this is the time that you have, and you
This
hunt
is-
from 9 until when?
until my husband, or shortly before he comes home from work.
Shortly before? Does
Yeah.
your husband know you hunt?
Yeah.
Is this
I-
a secret thing that you do?
No, I had to call him out of work to help me get this home. I shot it on a property across the creek, and being it weighed 200 pounds, I couldn't drag it by myself. And then the creek was about 5 foot above normal flow, and we was trying to figure out how to get this sucker home. And he says, "Go home and get the John boat." I said, "Okay." So I got the John boat, 100-foot of rope, the fishing pole. You know what the fishing pole's for?
Oh, I'm waiting.
Well, I was on one side of the creek with 2 of my friends, and I had to cast the line across the creek and then tie the rope to the fishing line, and then he pulled the rope across, tied the rope to the boat, he pulled the boat across. Okay, we have a 200-pound deer, a 9-foot pram boat, and a 250-pound man in a flat-bottom boat, 3 women pulling him across. He hits the current, and the boat's only sticking out of the water about like this. "Stop pulling, you're gonna sink, please!" So we stopped pulling, and we're all kind of going, you know, because the rope's tied to his horn, so we won't lose the deer.
Oh, that's good.
So we get over it. He finally drifts into the other bank. Now, where the boat flows in to get up to the road where we were at is about 7 foot, about straight up. So my friend Mary grabs the rope up at the road, and I grab one horn. He grabs the other horn. He says, "On 3, pull." So on 3 we pulled. The deer come up, and he went down. Well, he had a nice scar on his leg for a while. Finally, we got the deer home. The next day, he's hanging up in the garage, and we got this great big, tall, peaked roof. And I'm up on the ladder, and he's got the one end of the rope, and I'm up on the ladder on the roof, loosening it up, because he's hanging on this board that's, across the rafters. And he says, "Okay, loosen it real slowly." So, I loosened a little bit, and all of a sudden, I heard creak, crash, and a whole bunch of yelling below me, and I'm going, well, I know he didn't get killed by the deer.
He's still talking.
He's doing a little more talking.
So you dumped this deer on him for the second time.
I didn't dump the deer on him.
Well, this deer has been a nightmare for your husband.
I know it. And you know where he hangs now? He's right above the end of the couch where sometimes he lays.
Oh,
He says, "I'm not laying there no more. The third time will not be a charm."
oh man. That's something else. Have you been successful other seasons?
This is my first season that I've been successful. This is the second deer I've taken. I got a button buck. It was my first deer with my bow. This is my second deer. And I also took a 6-point with my muzzleloader.
Well, you're on a roll.
I hope to keep it going.
Well, congratulations on that. Oh, geez. You hit me with that. Oh, man.
We've received a lot of phone calls about the condition of the deer herd. A lot of concerned hunters wanting to know how they can help. One of the things we received was a fax from the DNR, 10-page fax on all the things you could do as it relates to feeding deer. To summarize that is, if you find a group that's been feeding deer all winter long, since they've been on the range, it would be great if you could help that group out. If you can't, then it's almost too late. You just can't be dumping feed on these deer. If the deer are starving right now and they haven't been fed all winter long, or they haven't had a program going, it's too late. It isn't going to help them.
How is it going to harm them?
Well, their digestive system has already changed over. If they've been eating the cellulose, they can't digest that regular food, corn or hay. As a matter of fact, it can become toxic. As I said last week, it's maybe toxic to them. So that isn't going to help them at all. The only people that feel good are the hunters that are out there feeding them. So that doesn't help. If you're concerned about the animals, the turkeys are going through the same situation here with this severe winter in those areas in the UP. So if you need to donate some money or some time, find someone who's helping the turkey out. Maybe you can help feed them.
Every Friday just about we've gone ice fishing. It's just been, oh, the weather has been something else. So I had this little chat with Mother Nature. I said, Mom, if you'll get rid of this winter here, I will appreciate spring and summer like I never have before. So we got a little reprieve at least this week. The fishing should be picking up around the state with this warmer weather. Here on the west side of the state, they're getting some pike, good place to set tip-ups, Ludington, Hamlin Lake. They're getting some perch, 7 to 9 inches here at Whitehall. Saugatuck has been slow. They really have some tough weather moving in there. You'll see it on our maps coming up a little later. Jumbo perch, though. Jumbo perch are back this week down here in the Detroit River. They're getting some jumbos, catching a lot of small ones to get those, though. Crappie and gill fishing is holding up in Lake St. Clair. Perch in Saginaw Bay, 8 to 12 inches, so that's good news. Up at Wellman's in Oscoda, they're getting pike in the backwaters and walleye, 2 to 5 per angler off all gray. Hey, that's great. Alpena, back into jumbo perch, up to 13 inches, some good catches of them. Baton Gary's fishing is slow because of the weather, minus 42 degrees. I think we can understand that. And that's pretty much what's happened in the Upper Peninsula. Birch Tree Resort, slow fishing because of the weather. Muskogee Bay, for those who want to get out there, limits 4 to 5 pound walleye. Look at this, over here in Marquette, where they've had these record-setting low temperatures, 45 below. During that time, they still caught limits of coho, 14-inch average. They are great eaters. Up here in the Keweenaw, fishing has been slow because of the weather. Ontonagon, the west side, well, you can hardly blame them. They have snow and ice and cold. A little Bay de Noc, they've been getting some walleye and some splake limits off Stonington. And here at Lake Cadillac, perch fishing has been slow because of the weather. They've had some 40-degree below temperatures, but I hope that changes tomorrow because that's where we're going to be. Taking a look at the ice conditions around the state, well, Cadillac area, 20 inches of ice. Plenty of ice in the UP. We're talking 2 to 3 feet in most areas, so you need a long stem on the auger. In the northern lower, there's plenty of ice. Watch it around Bay County. There are some shallow areas, especially in the rivers. The snow depths, plenty of snow in the UP again, 3 to 7 feet in Ontonagon County. 3 to 4 feet around Marquette, so plenty in the UP. In fact, plenty in the northern lower, too, for snowmobiling and the winter sports. The winter severity index, oh, this is a disaster. For this time of the year, to have these type of severity indexes when 80 really gets into the danger area is bad news for the deer. But we can use this weekend for a little break. Get out fishing if you can. It's a great place to be. See you next week.
Whoa! Well, he's taking a run. This is
Set that down.
This actually calls for taking the mittens off. I hate to say. I thought it was going to be a cake deal.
Keep that line going out this way, and that way if he wants to run, you can just feed it right back to him.
Oh, it's a pike.
Oh, no small one, no gaff.
Here we come. Oh, there we go. Man, that's the second fish in this hole. This is a hot hole. We're liking this.